the fancy intro, the geeky, complete.
That's totally sci-fi.
Yeah. It's kind of gay, but all right. We're live. It seems to be anyways. Welcome aboard, my brother. How the hell are you? It's been a while of chasing you down. I know you're a busy man, and so I appreciate the time. Jon Lively's my guest. Thanks for sticking through the abortion. That was the last false start. So yeah, just tell us all about. Take as much time as you need. I'll put you full screen and go wipe the sweat off. Take as long as you need to tell us all about like who you are and where you started out and how the hell did you get to this place, man? Like, this is a weird space to be in right now. I don't know. I kind of, I consider you some form of activist. Did you ever think you'd come to this place? And how'd you get here, bro?
I still don't think I'm an activist.
Right.
I think I'm just like a normal person.
Yeah, me too.
Right? I don't know. My story's not a long one. I don't know if you want me to just break into it.
Yeah, no, bust right into it. Take as long as you need because, it's like I told you, more of you and less of me is a better time. I can do a monologue anytime, so take as much time as you want.
Right. All right. Well, this summer I've been on this earth for about 42 years.
Nice.
And born and raised in Timmins, Ontario. I have a older brother by a year, and two older sisters. And my parents are still here in Timmins, and one of my sisters and my brother still live here, and very close with them. And I'm blessed that they're all on the same page as I am. Not as loud as I am. I've always had a bit of a big mouth when it comes to expressing my thoughts. And if I don't see something right, I just feel obligated to say it, right? So, but a little bit more about my biography, I guess. Like I said, born and raised in Timmins and went away to school and met my wife down in Guelph. She was in Waterloo, going to Laurier.
All right.
And we met at a birthday party. I found out she was from Lively, Ontario. And anyway, we hooked up, ended up getting married, and we're going on 20 years. We're going on 20 years this year, this August.
Congratulations, man. That's
an
achievement in itself, man.
Well, you know what? Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think, Jim, you've seen some, Hannah's interaction. She's not as vocal as I am. But, she'll pop on my post once in a while. And we're very much on the same page. So I'm very lucky there, like to have my family all at my back.
Really?
And oh yeah. I mean,
so you didn't lose. Well, you must have lost some family and friends along the way. No, over the last 2 years.
What?
I mean, no,
Jim, I haven't. I hear people constantly talk about losing their family and losing friends, and I haven't. And I mean, wow. There could be some friendships that maybe are strained, or you know what? But as this started going, I have my focus set on telling the truth and expressing my thoughts.
Okay.
Most of the people I consider good friends are still here, and I hang out with them and I talk with them, and they seem to respect my opinion. They don't interact. A lot of them, many of them are vaccinated. Most of them are actually probably a good, other than my friends on Facebook and all these new friends that I've made. Most of my friends are vaccinated. But there's just a level of respect there that, some of them might think I'm nuts, and, yet they choose to kind of love us anyway. Despite that, but that's a friend.
Amen.
Right.
Well, you're blessed.
And
have you ever been an activist in any level before? Have you ever been? You say you're mouthy.
And you know what,
mouth?
Jim? I think never. Jim, before this started, like that was one thing I was going to say. I mean, I'm not going to get too much into my like history, and I mean, I've had a pretty standard life. You know what I mean? Like, just grew up in Northern Ontario, having fun in the bush, fishing. I mean, I love fishing. I have a nice fishing boat, and we camp as a family. And we have a big camper trailer, and we've met so many friends that I just love dearly. And so I mean, that's our life up here. We moved back up here maybe 16 years ago to start a family. We kind of jotted out to Calgary for a year after school and everything, and then moved back here. And had our first child, our daughter, who's turning 16 this year. And so we've been back here since. I made my career here. Life's been a challenge for us, right? I mean, just like anything else. I mean, I've been blessed to have a fantastic marriage, and just like anybody else, I mean, we've had our ups and downs, but we respect each other enough to, have worked through them. And I mean, that's just the way we roll, right? I mean, we're best friends. We're Hannah and I, and we've had our 14-year-old son Adam has autism. He was diagnosed at 3 years old. You might have recalled a couple of posts that I've done about Adam, and he, so obviously you never expect that in life, right? Your first boy to have be spectrum, and she decided to put her career on hold and stay home with Adam, and obviously Adam went to school just like all normal kids, and he was in a special program, autism program, fantastic program here in Timmins, so she just went back to work actually recently, got a fantastic job as an analyst and in a mine. And so after 12 years of being off, we're blessed to have her back at work, and she's loving it. And we have 3 kids. Jack's our youngest, he's 8, and then Adam 14, and then Emerson's turning, she's 15 now, turning 16 later this year. But so that's our life, and we plan on staying in Timmins. I have no desire to really go anywhere else. We've kind of built our life here, and my family's here, and Hannah's very close with my family, and they're just an amazing, I grew up, going to church as well, Jim. I mean, again, you've probably seen a lot of my posts, I mean, where I'll reference the Bible, or, I have a very complicated relationship with God.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, no, I think we all do, but I mean, I was raised in a very go to church 3 times on Sunday, and every meeting in between on Wednesdays, and kids club at the church, and on Tuesdays growing up. I mean, that was my life, right? And I loved it. I mean, that's the life I was put into, and that's the life and then when I was, I don't know, probably just 6-7 years ago, I kind of went through a bit of a challenging period, not in life, just with my spiritual life, like just questioning, because I knew that, I know that I was born into this life, right, with Christian parents, and it's not like I got to choose it, right? I mean, so do I believe it or don't I? So it's been a struggle for me, but I do believe in God. I do believe in the Christ of the New Testament, and there's just a lot of interpretation things that I won't get in all the details, but anyway, so that's where I come from, right? So I mean, I do reference the Bible quite often, just because I really respect the book, and I think it's a powerful book, and I think that there's a lot for humanity to learn in there, and I feel that the further we move away from the guidance of that book as a species, as humanity, I think you can attest to right, Jim? I mean, the further we move away from that ideology, that in those and the guiding principles that are in the Bible, then the further we fall into darkness. And I feel like that's what there's a lot of truth in that book. And once you get away from truth, then you get what you get now, right?
Amen,
men
brother.
competing in women's sports, and people think that's okay. You know what? I don't think many people think that's okay. I think the left think that's okay because they have no guiding principles. They have none. I mean, everything goes, except things that aren't convenient, right? Like, I mean, just, you know, it's like they're trying to make an abomination of humanity, right? And what humanity was meant to be, right? So getting back to the whole, did I think I was going to be here, and have I ever been an activist? No, I haven't. I was ignorant for my entire life about politics, about, you know, anything. I mean, I just let people be, and you know, like, you want to be gay, you want to be whatever, I don't care. I mean, just, you know, like, but we've never had this push on us like we do now.
Well, the bottom line is just leave me the hell alone. Like,
yes,
you do whatever you want. I'll stay out of your life, you stay out of mine. We're all
Jim,
good,
and I was
man.
thinking about it today, you know, and just this whole, why am I don't know what made me think about it, but it was just, why, maybe it was just, you know, thinking about our interview tonight, and, you know, just different thoughts that were in my head. But it's like my spikes have been out for 2 years, right? Like, we're on the defensive. Like, it feels like we're fighting constantly, right? People go like, why do you do this? You know, I was trying to, I don't know why that was kind of running through my mind, but I just, you know, like, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? It's because they're attacking relentlessly. Like, they just haven't stopped, right?
Yeah, I told Mike Blocker the other day when I had him on. He's a Landmark Graduate Forum curriculum graduate, and it's similar to what you just expressed. I was walking up the hill here at Caribe Campo, in my new place in Dominican Republic. I've been here almost 6 months, and I was thinking about my interview with him, and I had a couple preloaded questions I was going to ask him, and they're kind of in the language of the forum. And my first question was to him, what is your underlying commitment to social media, right? And I asked myself the question subconsciously without really thinking about it, and I realized that my underlying commitment to social media, and I find it a sickening place. Like, I'm addicted to it. I'm fully, like, I don't really have an addictive personality type, you know? I can gamble and walk away. I went through the high school recreational drug phase and didn't ever get, you know, caught up in it at a point where I couldn't put it down. I'm having a hard time putting coffee down after 25 years of being off it.
I'm never going to. Like, if someone says stop drinking coffee or you're going to die, I mean, that's my time, right? I mean, that's it.
So
like,
I answered my own question, and this might be a lie that I generated myself in the moment, but it seemed to fit, and it seemed to be, my answer was, I want to bring everyone down to my level. I'm pissed off. And if I have to see it and get pissed off, then I want to make you fucking feel the rage that I'm feeling. Sorry for the bad language, but and that sounds like a really hopeless underlying commitment to social media, because how is that productive? How is that going to keep me healthy? Why do I want to drag? It's like a drug addict wanting to drag another person into his hell, you know, like you know, everything I talk about on social media is because I'm angry. I'm pissed off.
Well, see,
I don't want the kid. I don't want a masking of the children. I don't want men going to jail and prison with women and impregnating them and raping. Like, I mean, these are reasonable things. And if I came down now, I'm like an extremist because I think, you know, can we just stop killing babies after 6 months in the womb? Like, even can we just go with 6 months? Like, I mean, I'm a Christian guy too. I'm a failing Christian, but you know, I grew up Catholic, was confirmed Catholic, hated church, and now I've got a great church. I got a men's group on Thursday mornings. I'll invite you to the next one. It's Thursday morning, 7:30. Anyone's welcome to come, but it's not really a Bible study. It's just a men's group. It's where we vent and support each other, and it's powerful, man. And of all the things I miss back home, being on production as a video director and switcher. That's number one. We're moving to a new church, and this weekend, actually. I say we like I'm still there. And then looking after the kids once a month down in the preschool. I was, you know, one of 3 or 4 people that was in the room with 20, 25, 2 and 3 year olds, and that's my zone of the kids. You know, once they get to 4 and 5, they start looking awkward. I like them when they're just barely walking and barely talking. They're so innocent then.
The cute stage.
Oh yeah, they're just, and they get me, and I talk to them like regular adults. Like I don't goo goo gag on them. Anyway, so yeah, it's been an interesting experiment, and I'm glad to hear that you're not one of these, perpetual activists, and maybe that's why, like, I find you to be very successful at driving a message. You have a rabid base, you get unbelievable action on your one account that you have. Like, dude, I've got accounts I've been canceled from everything, and I know I shouldn't compare it, but I can't help but look at a guy like you and go, how do I get to this? Like, I told a mutual friend of ours a couple months ago, I'm like, I could give Jon Lively my codes and he could post as me and I wouldn't get the reaction that he gets. So I don't know if it's the people that follow you or what it is, but man, God bless you.
Jim, I think it was a bit of a fluke. I mean, I'm a big stats guy, right? And I mean, that's what, actually it's a good time I'll maybe break into like how I got here, right? Like how, what brought me here.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm gonna turn my notifications off again.
Yeah, you're just breaking up here and there, so maybe you got to kick one of those teenagers off of Netflix or something.
Yeah, is it okay right now?
It's been pretty good. Yeah, it's been pretty good. Just here and there, it drops for a second or two, but it's been pretty solid. Anyways, I just thought I'd let you know. Thank you.
So, I mean, when this all started, I mean, like my mom's a career nurse, and she, like I respected her as, her opinion. She's worked in geriatrics her whole career. She was the director of nursing at an old age home for the last, 15 years of her career. She's retired now. My sister worked in healthcare. I have friends who are doctors. I have, so when this all hit I wasn't completely ignorant. I mean, my wife, like with my son with autism, she's been studying like alternative medicines for like 13 years.
Good.
Right. I mean, she was studying to become a homeopath on top of being a chemist. Right. Like she's one of the smartest people I've ever met. So so when this all started, I mean, I think there's this new virus. So we took it fairly seriously. And, I think I even bought a little bottle of sanitizer at a dollar store one time right at the beginning.
Yuck.
Because I mean, I don't know. I was thinking of my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking of my parents and thinking of whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean? But that lasted about a week or two. Right. But I mean, we knew something was up right away. I mean, something just wasn't right. I was looking at the stats, like it hit Italy and, obviously out of Wuhan first and then Italy and then Spain. And then before it kind of worked its way over here. So I was already watching their stats. Something just seemed wrong. Nope, something's wrong. And then it's funny. I worked for an American company before the company I work for now. And it was very divided, a lot of Trump supporters, a lot of, Democrats and people who hated Trump and whatever. So, I mean, I was so apolitical. Like I didn't know much about anything. Right. And I hated Republicans and not hated, just, like if guns and whatever, gun-toting Americans, I just didn't, I never really took to that, like the whole Republican ideology of like, private healthcare and I just didn't like it, and so when this hit, like, actually, I'm going to tell you how far gone I was before this started. As soon as the pandemic started, I would watch like Chris Cuomo on CNN. And, in the banter with his brother, that was the first time I ever watched those guys. And I'm like, oh, they're cool guys, and I'm watching CNN and I'm watching Chris and his brother, banter back and forth. And I'm laughing, I'm like, oh, these guys seem like good guys. And that's how out of it I was. I didn't watch news. I didn't do anything. I fished, I worked, I did construction on my house. I've been renovating this bloody house for 10 years. And I stayed out of politics. I stayed out of everything. I mean, I just lived my life and in complete ignorance. But then when this all started, and Trudeau went all full, they handed the keys to our entire country and our lives. I was like, no, like, and we got the opportunity to watch South Dakota do what they did, right? Respect their citizens and not lock them down and let them make their own choices. And Canada took the other route. They took the dictator route. And I'm like, no, something's wrong here. Florida, I think they locked down for a week, maybe. And then they were like, nope, we're not doing that ever again. And they haven't done it ever again. Right. So I knew early on that something was very, very wrong. The stats didn't line up. Trump, who everybody hated, was the only leader of a free country not supporting locking everybody down. I mean, he let all the maniac Democrat governors do whatever they wanted. Unfortunately, I wish he would have stopped that. But I'm like, okay, this guy that I kind of despise, Trump, I'm like, he's the only one not being a tyrant in all of this. And I'm supposed to hate the guy, but I'm like, I kind of respect what he's doing. And Trudeau, who I've always been it's sad to say, I've always been very neutral on him. I just haven't cared. I just never paid attention to politics. I knew he was a pretty boy idiot. I just didn't, I didn't pay attention to his policies. I didn't, and I think that's half the reason why we're in this mess. Because I think I don't know if all people are like me, but I think there's too many people like me before this started. Where I just didn't pay any attention, and you'd elect people, or I wouldn't even vote. And, and hey, Jim, is your face back there anytime soon?
Yeah, I can put me back.
Yeah, it's weird talking to nobody.
Well, I'm not on camera, so I often turn the camera off when I'm not. So
okay, yeah, it was so funny when it started, when you first disappeared. I'm like,
dude, because I am a big, fat, sweaty mess over here. Like my shirt is soaked.
I'm like, why is it
drying
so
off
hot?
my earphones because they're sliding off my head with the perspiration. Like my face looks dry.
I keep forgetting you're in Dominican.
It's 88,000 degrees in my apartment, dude. There's not a whisper of a breeze going.
Friggin' hot there. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's basically where I was when this started. And then, I started looking at the stats. I'm a big Excel guy, like Excel spreadsheets and stuff like this, right? And data guy. And I would look on, I'm like, oh, they're giving us all their data. I'm like, okay, Ontario, check the COVID stats, deaths, hospitalizations, cases, how many tests they were doing. And I would just like line them all up and be like, and I'm listening. I was listening right from the beginning and listening to all these maniacs, health people say, we're counting every death, every person that dies with a COVID diagnosed, like with a positive COVID test, we're marking as a COVID death.
You know what? You said so much, dude.
They would even go on further and say, regardless of what they died from.
Yeah. And you know what strikes home for me is I didn't know who Trump was. My brother used to watch The Apprentice. I'd walk by the TV, and those just aren't my shows. I go, you guys are like, what are you doing? What are you wasting your time for? And then when he got elected, I'm like, okay, I spent so much time hating Stephen Harper. I'm not gonna generate any more hate for this guy. Like, I'm just not going to do it because it only destroys me, right? And so I was completely neutral with Trump. And like what you just said, first he started to make me, I started busting my guts. First of all, he stood there for hours and answered every single question. Like, talk about the most accessible president of our time. Trump is it. And then he started making me howl. And that was like a stand-up routine almost every time he took the stage. And then I started going, well, yeah, that makes sense. When he closed the border to Europe, I gasped out loud. I remember where I was when I'm like, what? Like, that was bold, And then the way he dealt with China. And he's been saying the same thing about China for 35 years.
Oh,
they've been
and
eating
now
our
you
lunch.
know that. I do.
Yeah.
You look back at his videos and you're like, oh, He's always had the same stance.
No, yeah. And the same with Trudeau. When Trudeau came in, I was so happy. I was tweeting out, it's a new day, even with his gender neutral thing. And I was like, who's the blonde with the nice shoes? And like, I was all about Trudeau. And then he worked to make me loathe him like I've never, like, hate. Like I'm the first to acknowledge my hate.
We're all on the same page. Hate's a strong word, right? We all know
and
that.
Perfectly
but like
deserving.
Trudeau, as much as I can loathe the person, Trudeau is like as high as it gets.
Yeah,
I mean, he is a disgusting person. Every word out of his mouth is just a lie. But I don't know who I'm more disgusted with. The people that keep liking his posts and voting for this mental case, or him.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
and that's where my breakdown comes too, is from my loss of hope in humanity. You know, I can handle my hate for the politicians. I expect to hate politicians. And it shifted, you know, I used to be a lefty, but my hope was really killed by the people that buy into this stuff, the people that are masking their children, the people that just jumped on board. Hey, take the shot if you want. I'm not going to judge. Well, I do judge. I mean, but yeah, that was the breaking point.
Yeah, they force us to take a position, right? I mean, take your shot. Take all your shots, right? I don't care. Take 100 shots, right? But isn't that the beautiful thing for the left right now with this pandemic? It's not good enough to just let them do what they want, right? We need to worship it. And if we don't get it, they won't let us travel. They'll take our jobs. Yep. They'll ruin our lives, right? Because I'm putting them at risk by not taking it, which we know is nonsense. But that's the angle always, right? It's like, okay, so now it's not good enough for me to be like, you know, you do you and I'll do me. But they're like, yeah, but you doing you is like
dangerous for us. You
not getting vaccinated is like you driving your car into a crowd of people. And I'm like, yeah, that's the same thing. But that's where their mind goes, right? Something that has like 100% chance of killing people, right? That's what they'll compare it to, right? The stupid seatbelt analogy, right?
Yeah. And how many times have you heard, like, one of the smartest guys I know, he's like my political mentor. He got me to run in 1993 in my first election as a Green Party candidate. And I might have been his first call when he almost died in the hospital with COVID. And, you know, I said, bro, I mean, I'm really apprehensive about making calls to you because you're my political hero and we do not mix. Like, we don't agree on anything anymore. And this guy is brilliant. He can steel man both sides of the argument and do it with passion and make you laugh. And like, this guy is brilliant on more levels than one. And then he broke out the good thing I had my third shot or I'd be dead. Like, he was dead. Like, they brought him back. He flatlined, and they brought him back, and he bragged about how nobody's recovered faster than he did and everything. But when he broke that out, I was heartbroken. I don't even know how to word and now you hear that from everyone, you know? Every politician. What is this, April for mayors to get COVID now? They get the snivels, and they're saying, well, good thing I'm vaccinated. You go get it too. But the worst part is that they sold us on it by saying, this will protect you. Hey, I got a vaccination. It's right here. I'm scarred forever. But that vaccination actually eradicated smallpox and everything, rubella and everything I was vaccinated against. I can never catch it. And they started out by telling us, you take the vaccine, you'll never get it. And that was a lie too. So it's so frustrating.
You know what? Every word out of their mouths, Jim, like, you know what? I was thinking yesterday, I'm like, you know what? I feel like making doctor appointments just for fun but play ignorant and just call the doctor and say, look, I'm very scared to get the COVID vaccine. I want to see if you can convince me to get it. And I want to go and sit there and listen to them just rhyme. I know exactly all the points they're going to say, right? Like, I'm I've been paying so much attention to this, as you know. Like, I would love them to just say, yeah, convince me. Like, tell me what, and they're just going to spew.
Dude, worse yet, I went to my GP. I was born with a heart murmur. They said it's benign. Like, lots of people are born with a heart murmur. It's never caused me any problems. A few years ago, I got pericarditis. They treated me for a heart attack. They sent me to Hamilton. They give me all the stuff. They scoped my heart. It was a really uncomfortable, I don't know, week in the hospital, 4 days or something like that. Like they gave me I drove with it, dude. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning at my buddy's place. We'd been partying the night before. I got sick, which I don't normally do, but I was drinking, not out of the ordinary. I woke up and I felt like I snuck out of the house so I wouldn't wake up the dogs. He gave me shit for that afterwards. He's like, what. I drove from Niagara Falls to St. Catharines to go to the hospital, and I didn't think I was going to make it. So I go to my doctor, listen, I want an exemption. I got a heart murmur. I had pericarditis last year. I'm not going anywhere near this shot. Give me an exemption. No, he wouldn't give me an exemption. Like, I didn't push it. My doctor's pretty good. He'll give me anything I want. But I didn't push it, but...
Well, no, because you get in trouble, and you know that. He knows that. I mean, they're not allowed. You know how many doctors I've connected with right now that, look at what happened to Dr. Phillips. I mean, he just lives a couple hours down the road from me, Patrick Phillips, right? I mean, the guy, what a warrior, and I haven't chatted with him in a while, but we're friends on Facebook. And, I mean, they just attack him. I think he's still practicing, but I mean, they've just attacked him. I mean, he's no longer allowed to write for anything, masks, vaccines, nothing, right? I mean, anything to do with COVID anyway. But I mean, the guy is just, or just these doctors are pinned down. And this is why it's such a joke. So you get the doctors who are super horny for the vaccines, right? And trust me, I know them here. I'm not going to even mention their names because there's a few of them that they're like the ringleaders in my area here, like get vaccinated, and they're still walking around with goggles on and a shield and whatever, and promoting everybody to, they're just such fear mongers, right? And look around, Jim, like how many people do you see dropping dead? I still don't know anybody personally who's died of COVID, like none, right? Some people might.
This is going to get me another strike on YouTube. We can't say the Ivor word. We can't say the H word. We can't. But no, you know what? And this is another thing. I mean, this leads straight into the censorship.
What word did I say? COVID?
No. But it's just like it takes about, after we do this live broadcast, it'll take about 24 hours for the YouTube bots to scrape the transcripts. And if they find anything that sounds like medical,
we say?
Well,
what word shouldn't we say?
You can't say the Ivor word. You can't say that the certain protections that are that don't. You can't say certain protections don't work. You can't say
the pokes, the masks.
Oh yeah, you can't say anything like that. No, you can't say that.
Okay, well, anyway, so these people just push this anyway, right? And I mean, they push everything like it's. Like after 2 years of this, with all this data, it just hurts my brain, right? I can't even, it's funny. I get angry. I know you're angry, Jim. I think we all are. And I mean, I had a night the other night here just with Trudeau and, and just thinking about all these people, like I was just talking about these doctors and these, and I was just, Hannah's on one couch, I'm on the other couch, and I'm just raging, right? Well, raging like I rage, right? We were having a good conversation for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And she's like, wow, liberals make you angry. And that's what she said.
They're
exactly,
just as
right?
angry at us. It's like this huge divide, right?
And I said, well, Han, what do you, I can't even, I don't want to be angry like that. That's the thing, Jim. I don't want to be angry, but they keep, like I said, like I was thinking today, like my spikes are constantly out. I can't stop. Like you got to stay on the defensive. They're forcing you to do it. They're forcing you to go up against them, right? Like you can't, they're forcing us up against the cliff, right? Everything they stand for disgusts me. I can't even, and they're the same. I will not live in that world that they want me to live in. Okay. I will not raise my kids in that world that they want me to live in. And I won't let them indoctrinate my kids into this world where absolutely nothing makes sense. We keep calling it Clown Earth because that's exactly what it is.
I started with Clown Town, then the popular one was Clown
Show
World.
Me
Clown Earth.
Show me something that makes sense.
Yeah. So what was the breaking point?
Can we say clowns?
Can we say
Clown Earth?
We can say that. Yeah. What was the breaking point for you then? When did you decide, okay, I'm getting off the couch. I'm getting politically involved. I know, dude, you even met with Max Bernier when he came to town. Like you're in it now, dude. You're deep.
I'm not. You know what, man? I keep myself not deep on purpose. And that's like when you're this is like the first interview I've done. I think I did a quick one. Are you connected with EMAD out of Barrie?
No, I'm not affiliated.
No, he's a doctor. I think he's a retired doctor anyway, but he's a great guy and he's a retired surgeon or physician. But anyway, we've been connected now for, oh my goodness, I don't know, since the beginning, probably a year and a half. And I did a quick interview with him while I was in Ottawa at the rally there. Okay. And I went for a day and a bit. And that was the first live I've ever done with anybody. And this is the first interview, actual interview I've ever done with anybody. I've declined everything. Nice. I always say no. And the reason I always say no, and the reason I told you no at the beginning, is that number one, I express myself, even people might watch this and be like, John's all over the place. I don't know. But I express my emotions and my feelings and my thoughts a lot better on paper. I just do.
Okay. Yep.
Right. And one big thing about me is and I know this to be true. I think you know this to be true. This is a universal rule that anger never really gets you anywhere, right? And so if I did a lot of lives and I did a lot of whatever, I've done some videos. I'm sure you've seen them, and I've kind of stopped lately because I'm angry. I'm angry, like, not all the time, but it comes through when I talk. Yeah, so I try to just type it out. I try to keep. And I love to be funny. As you know, I love to keep things light. But I don't always just keep things light, obviously. Right. I hit some pretty hard topics, even with some humor and stuff, because if I'm angry all the time, if I post something when I'm angry, Jim, I end up deleting it. Wow. Because I'll see the likes climbing up like 1, 2, and then an hour goes by. Because my dad actually, because I'm very close with my dad. He's one of my, probably my best friend. We're just the same person. I find we just connect on such a level spiritually and emotionally, and man, he's just such a grounded guy, and he's very honest with me, and he follows me on Facebook. You don't see his name pop up very often, but he'll like my stuff once in a while. He tries to stay back from it, right? He just doesn't. He sees the world falling apart, and he's, but anyway, he gave me some advice early on. When I got angry and posted, he said, John, I love your stuff. He's like, nobody up here is doing what you do, like in all of the North. Like, I don't know of anybody else that does what I do up here. And he said, he said, when you post when you're angry, he said, it ruins it for me. And he said personally, it just ruins it for him. Right? Because he can't connect with it. He loves when I shared stats, and he loved when I shared like the stats and just my emotion, how I was feeling about everything. But when I got angry, he tuned out. He did, and he was just thinking about everybody else that was starting to listen to me at the beginning, and he just gave me that advice. And he said, when you post when you're angry, you lose people. Because,
dude, and how do you stay middle of the road? How do you check your passion and your feelings? Like, I'd love to be a cheerleader. Maybe that's not the way I'm wired. Maybe I'm wired to be a critic. But I wish I didn't have to rage against what is going on. I wish I didn't feel as strongly as I do about the kids and, giving them puberty blockers and masks and vaccinations and all this kind of stuff. Like, this is the stuff that I'm passionate about. So the passion comes out as anger because I'm fucking pissed off, dude. So I don't know how you temper it. Man. I don't know how you temper it.
I am too. But number one, I'm blessed with a partner in life who keeps me grounded.
Amen to that.
Big time.
Okay. Cool.
Hannah, if you meet her, one day maybe we'll do an interview with both of us. And
cool. That'd be great.
She's so grounded, Jim. You'll never ever see her get mad about any of this because she's a huge picture person. She sees the spiritual problems going on. She sees everything. So, and not that she's like narcissistic and like, or feeling like, oh, I feel sorry for people who just don't see as clearly as I do. She's not that person, but she just understands that people are different and at different stages in life, right? And in like in development, and even in the spiritual sense, and in like just with all this stuff going on, why do I see things a different way than other people do? Why do you see things different than other people do? Very similar to me, I'm sure, but a lot different than the people that just keep screaming jabs and all this stuff. Like, why are we so different?
Yeah, we're definitely we're in the minority too, right? We're in the vast minority.
Well, I think we are. I think a lot of people see what's wrong, but they just stay quiet. Like, I know a lot of my friends, right, who even ended up getting the job for work and all this stuff and got their kids' job and stuff. Look, don't hold it against them in the public health, right? So have I. I mean, up until this point, I didn't really distrust public health. Why would I? I don't know. They never really gave me a reason to, right? Like, it's not like I spent my whole life being an activist against public health or doctors. Like, you know what? I want to say this, because this is one thing that I don't think people get. They're like, oh, what? So you're against medicine? You're against pharmaceuticals?
Science?
You're against everything? Well, no, you're against science. You're against, so what? If you have to go to the hospital and they have to inject something into you, or you're not going to do it because you don't know the ingredients, like if it's going to save your life. And I'm like, listen, this is where they don't grasp it. Like they haven't spent 2 seconds looking into Pfizer. They haven't spent 2 seconds looking into this vaccine. Sorry, this poke.
The jab, yeah, the jab.
And I think they're catching on to the J word too, though. Yeah. I think jab. You say on my Facebook, they are anyway. They take it out my posts all the time.
Nancy Graham's on YouTube saying use code words, call it IVV, and call it the HC thingy, and the jab, and the COVIDs. Be creative. Right. Call the horse paste is good code for the Ivor.
Right. Anyway, so I mean, I'm not against this. I mean, like, listen, like my 8-year-old, when he was 5 or 6, he broke his arm. And he pinched an artery. It was right at his elbow. It was a supracondylar fracture. Like, his arm was literally dangling off. Like, it actually snapped right off. And it was just hanging by ligaments and skin. So the ambulance came, and he actually fell off this desk that I'm sitting at right now onto the tile floor, because he was up in my cupboard here trying to get something. And anyway, the ambulance comes to get him. He was losing circulation in he wasn't getting blood flow to his hand. He pinched an artery. Right. He pinched an artery when he broke his arm. So they were like, holy crap, rush him to the hospital. They couldn't even fix him in Timmins. They didn't want to touch him because he would have needed like a neurologist or, someone to, just in case they needed to work on his arteries and stuff like this. So they rushed him out to Ottawa, to the Children's Hospital in Ottawa. My wife flew with him. I drove down. Anyway, they saved his arm, got pins in it, whatever. Jim, I counted how many people were involved in helping my son keep his hand. You know how many number one, a bunch of doctors were talking about, he could lose his hand because he was going cold. He couldn't, he wasn't getting blood flow. And you know how many people from the time the paramedics picked Jack up at our house to the time he got discharged in Ottawa? You know how many people helped my son? like 35 people.
I was going to say a dozen. I don't know. Yeah.
No, like 35. I counted like the number of nurses, well, there was like 6 paramedics,
right,
or 8 paramedics. Just even like, because taking them from the hospital here to the hospital, like from here to the hospital, 2 or 3 on the plane. Then he got landed. We had more paramedics, brought him from the airport there to the hospital, and then the nurses and the like the surgeons.
How can you hate so many people that you don't even know, man? Why you hate all the healthcare professionals that saved your son's arm?
Right? Why do I hate them all? Why do I hate them all? No, I mean, I have tears in my eyes just thinking about it, because I'm like,
wow.
My daughter was born with hip dysplasia. Her legs weren't even connected at the hips. Literally, she was folded in half. It was severe. Like, she didn't have any sockets for the top of her.
Oh my gosh! So the first thing they have to do is pop her legs back in her hips.
Same. She was years of her brace, so like there was no socket. So like she had to wear a brace for the first 2 years of her life. For her socket to form, she had to keep her legs kind of in like a crouched position for like 2 years of her life. And now she's a dancer. I mean, she's whatever.
Nice.
But to tell me, like, so when I hear people like even public health care, how many, I worked for Americans. I would go down to Las Vegas, and I'd go down to Nevada and talk to, in Texas and wherever, and talk to like big time Republicans, right? Guns in the back of their truck, under their seat, like hated public health care, this is around the time like Obamacare was first kind of coming out, losing it over public health care. And I would defend our system. So these people that think like I'm against our system and against public health and against, you know what I mean? It's saved, my daughter was able to walk today because of it. And you know how much we spent my daughter to walk, Jim? Whatever we pay in our taxes, it never costed a cent. Nothing. Flights to Ottawa, Jack, 35 people, like that probably would have cost us like $250,000 to save my son's arm down in the States with like no insurance or no, you know what I mean? And that's why I counted how many people helped them, because I thought, man, alive, like the number of people we met, the nurses, the neurologists, the surgeons, the whatever. I mean, all these different people that took care of him, and he was there for several days, right? So in his room, different doctors, different nurses. And anyway, so I personally, right, when people job, and you don't like what you don't now you don't trust our healthcare system. And I'm like, no, I actually value our healthcare system a lot. The doctors, the nurses, I think they're amazing. I think they're fantastic. But you know what? I think they are beholden to the people that give them their degrees and allow them to keep their jobs to a fault, right? Like you speak, we were just talking about it with Patrick Phillips. You speak against them, you're done. My mom is so happy she's retired, Jim, from nursing. Like she was running our biggest nursing home in Timmins here for 15 years. And she was so like, once all this chaos started, she was like, oh my goodness. She couldn't even imagine, because you would have to bow or lose everything. You bow or lose everything. Those are your options. Right. And, and I think some of these people, the ones that are really, pro everything and trying to convince everybody to do everything, I think they've convinced themselves so hard that everything that they're told to do is right, that they come across as, sounding like they, because they have to, or they're going to lose everything. Right. Like, I'm convinced of it. I don't think they actually believe it. They can't. How can you be a 4-year degree person with a 4-year nursing degree or a 10-year specialist degree and actually believe any of this nonsense that's going on right now? It's mind-boggling. So I try to work it out in my brain how I think these people are actually able to go along with this, and that's the way I get by. It's like, okay, well, maybe they must be, they must have convinced themselves that everything their owners say is true. That's the only way they sleep at night, and they're able to keep doing what they're doing. right? Because it's all nonsense. And any honest doctor you talk to will tell you it's nonsense. So how can there be such a divide, even amongst the professionals, like the doctors, right? It just, like everything's torn apart, right? Everything's gone insane. And,
it has for sure.
So, but going back to the point earlier, just about how, just all the thoughts in my brain, like why I don't do interviews. And you had mentioned, like, I'm in there deep. I met Max. I went out for dinner with him. I don't know if he remembered you or remembered us during your interview with him, but like we had dinner with him. It was a pretty intimate dinner. It was just Max and the head of our PPC up here. I met him for the first time. I'm good friends with him now, like really, a really good friend of mine. And his wife, and then one other couple. So it was just us, Hannah and I, and then a couple other couples and Max. So we had a great one-on-one with him, right? Yeah. I mean, just spent probably several hours with him. Mm-hmm. And the whole point of that is they were trying to get me to run for PPC back in the fall election, right? Or be the candidate for PPC. And I said, no, I didn't, I still have very young kids. I'm not, number one, I think I'm way too emotional for it. I've met other people who are very, like this guy, the head of the PPC, a friend of mine. Very calm, for about sense. I couldn't even last a day. If I won a seat, I don't think I could ever sit in there and listen to these people without absolutely losing my mind. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do it.
Well, you know what, John? I want to coach you there a little bit. You're the perfect guy for the job. That's the perfect candidate and a perfect guy for the job. And it wasn't the right time for you. And I think the next time around, like Max turned me down as a candidate. Like I was hopeful. Like I've been a candidate 10 times. I'm good on stage. I know my stuff. I can steelman both sides of the argument. I can argue as a conservative and as a Green Party guy. And Max didn't personally turn me down. He wasn't part of that process, but I was all gung ho to go, and it just wasn't meant to be. So, maybe the next time around. And he joked, because I asked him when I interviewed him, I said, I can't let you go without asking, like, what happened? Was I just too toxic? Because I got some fake news that follow me around. I got a filthy mouth. I'm a failing Christian. I'll admit it. And yeah, I struggle with, putting my hate in positive places or have it do positive things, if that's even possible. But it just wasn't time, I guess. And he joked, well, next time. I'm like, next time? Next time? No, there's no next time, dude. Like, maybe there will be for you. Maybe there will be for me too. I don't know. But if I never set foot on Canadian soil again, I'm good. Because I'm in the freest country in the world.
I don't blame you. And if it wasn't for my whole family being here, and especially my family, I got a lot of friends too, but especially my family. I mean, I think if everybody agreed to pick up and move down to Florida tomorrow, I mean, I'd be out of here. Like Canada, to me, I think this is one of the problems for me. Is I think Canada. I hate saying this.
I know.
You know what I'm going to say. Yeah, I just feel like Canada's lost. Canada. My sister said this several months back, and it just hit home to me. It was a very basic point, right? Mm-hmm. Canada voted for this, right? As much as we hate this, like we live in a democracy. So unless, there's rampant.
I would coach your sister on this point. It's not. It's like you have to keep it in perspective, though, because the first past the post election system, and this is what I'm working on Max with. I hope that he will be one of the major federal parties that puts proportional representation in the platform. No more 30% majority governments. You can't have 70% of the people who vote against the guy that won and give him all the control. It's stupid.
Look at what Trudeau's doing right now with 30%.
Unbelievable. It's not right. Anyways, Brother, I want to keep you on time because I've kept you at an hour's flew by already, bro. And I know you got a family.
I mean, guy walks around.
Sorry. And I think the witching hour is up in Timmins because 8 o'clock, everyone gets on the internet and you're glitching a little bit more than you were. So I want to keep you on time, but I want to leave on a hopeful note. First of all,
you can let it go. We can go for a bit more. That did fly by, Jim.
Yeah, no, it does, man. And we could easily do 2 hours, but I'd rather do it maybe on a Saturday afternoon when we got good broadband because it's glitching a little bit much. But yeah, we can continue going. Anyways, I want to say this just in case. I love you, brother. I don't know who you are. I got a mad respect for you. And now that I've met you and I can see your face and see that you've lifted a couple dumbbells here and there, probably that's not from pulling fish out of the water. I can see that. You know, and the way you speak about your wife, and you're the first one to sacrifice her for the Jim Fannon Show. That would be awesome, man, to have you two on together. I mean, because, you know, the good men in my life, like I'm a guy's guy, totally. Like I love the ball busting, I love the razzing, I love the jabs, and I love the man hugs. But for all my heroes of men in my life, they all have a rock, and they do everything for their wife and their family, you know, and I don't have that anchor, you know, and so, yeah, I just want to acknowledge you for what you're doing. I don't know how to keep you hopeful, but hopefully those words will, you know, remind you of what you got to be hopeful of.
Well, Jim, you know what? I just want to tell you too, man, like I haven't, and thank you for that. I mean, that it's, like, you know, I have a hard time not getting emotional, you know, with my family and just even what you just said, right? Because I mean, you come into this, you know, how do I stay not angry, right? I think I have too much love in my heart to get angry, like to stay angry all the time, right? I do. And I think that's how I keep going every day, right? And I think that's how I keep some perspective, because I want to love people, right? I want to love everybody, right? I mean, and even, you know, we talk about before COVID started, how you get at a baseball game and there's liberals around you. There could be communists sitting behind you and you're laughing because you're just cheering for the team, right? And all of that political stuff is just in the background and just ignore it, you know, but now everything's at the forefront and in our face every single day. And it's like a battleground, right? And I don't want to be angry, right? I mean, I like, you know, number one, I shouldn't even be on here. I shouldn't even be posting like I do, right? But I think the overall consensus, I get a lot of messages from people over the last 2 years, just thanking me for helping them make it through this, right? I want to quit this every day, Jim. I'll be honest with you. Every day I wake up going, I'm deleting Facebook. Like probably every second day.
Me too. I'm right there with you, man.
Right? Because I at some point, I just got to look after my family.
Yeah.
Right? And
it's not
plan.
A healthy place.
Right? Are we going to sell our house? What are we going to do? I got to finish renovating. That's what I was doing just before we called. I'm painting. I'm renovating our upstairs.
Okay. And
we're getting ready for whatever might come.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, are we going to have to sell our house? Mm-hmm. It better be ready to sell if we need to sell it. Right? If we need to, you know, and I'll admit it. I mean, you'll see like a little 10-second post from me, but you know this, Jim. It's on our head all the time. It never leaves. Mm-hmm. It's constantly there, right? Mm-hmm. You know, like it just never leaves.
I know.
Right? I know some people might pity us for that. Like they might be like, "Oh, poor guy, just get your vaccine and stop thinking about this stuff." Right? Or this jab, sorry. And you know, just stop thinking about this stuff, right? I mean, oh, you're like a tortured soul right now, you know?
It's true.
Right? And I'm like, well, I am, but I mean, like I told someone, you know, I had a conversation with someone I'm close with, And we're still friends, and we're still, but he told me, he goes, you think about this stuff too much. It was just a very short thing because I made a comment about something, you think about this stuff too much. And I'm like, you don't think about it enough. And it's exactly why we're in the position we're in. Right? I said, complacency and ignorance gets you nowhere. Right. And I just, I feel, I'm sure you're the same way, Jim. I feel like I could go up against anybody right now. Anybody, I don't care. Throw me a surgeon, throw me a doctor. They're all saying the same thing anyway, right? Like it doesn't matter. Well, you debate one.
You've got facts and stats on your side, right?
Yeah,
you've got facts and stats on your side. They don't.
And you know what? I'm even done with stats because stats don't matter. I mean, nothing matters.
Truth doesn't matter. No.
Right? Like nothing matters. Truth doesn't matter. Oh, that swimmer has a penis. And he's racing with the girls. So he's a girl. Yeah,
he's a girl because he says he's a girl. What's wrong with you?
But there's no difference. There's no difference. The same, you know what? That's one point I want to get across too, is that so many people have such a hard time connecting the dots, right? That it's all connected, all of it. Like, we talk about the Great Reset and all this stuff, and people get all worked up and whatever. It is. I mean, it's all like the pandemic, the transgender. Look what's happening. Race wars. But it's all stemming from the government, from the politicians, right? Like trying to divide genders and they're trying to in this, right? And sometimes I just want to quit everything and go climb under a rock. And I envy you down there. I mean, because some days I just want to remove myself from all of this and go tuck ourselves away in the bush somewhere and forget it. Just, don't read the news. Don't let it go where it's going to go, right? Let God put it in God's hands. And, but then some people, I feel like that's a cop-out because, you've heard people say even David had to pick up a stone. He could pray all he wants, but at some point he had to pick up a stone. Right. I mean, and I agree with that. So, I mean, to sit here silent on the side, I feel like I have an obligation now, in a way. Right. And not even, and I don't say that I got followers and, but I think we're all there for each other. Right. And, I have almost 10,000 people on my page now that I think really align with me, right? And I align with them. I've made friends, like actual close friends from there.
I know I don't have to remind you of this because I think you're acutely aware of it, but how fortunate and blessed are you? I mean, not all of us have the impact acknowledged to us. Not all of us have strangers that enter our DMs and go, dude, keep it up. Like and I do. You're right. I struggle with the social media all the time because I don't find it's a healthy place for me or the people that are following me. Now I've lost so many people that it's kind of been an echo chamber, and even that gets like I just want someone to have a decent debate with me. You know what I mean? Like don't be an idiot. Don't bring out the MSM talking points. Like actually bring facts and tell me what you think. But that's done. So the fact that you've got a page with 10,000 people on it. Wow. And the fact that you get acknowledged and there's nothing better than a stranger saying, hey, you made a difference in my life. Like that lifts you up and that makes you feel like you're like,
I'll admit, I mean, maybe at first it was more about like, oh yeah. I mean, this was always different. I mean, because I'm not doing TikTok dances or I'm not like trying to get likes because I'm doing whatever. You know what I mean? I'm spewing out facts and truth every day, and people really took to it and started following me, right? And it's funny, that's where I say Facebook's a bit of an anomaly for me, because I've been sharing the same posts. You know how Facebook has that thing for Instagram, it'll just automatically go on Instagram.
Right, yeah.
My Instagram has been sitting at like $2.99 to $2.99 for I've only been doing that for about a year now, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't move. Right. So it's like, how come I'm posting the same thing on Instagram, but it doesn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if I tried going on Twitter, I probably wouldn't go anywhere either.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook was just a place where we all kind of connected.
Right.
right? And honestly, I'm not interested in fame. I'm not interested in, I couldn't care less. Maybe back when I was younger, I would have cared. I think see, this is another honest thing about Hannah, right? Like she'll do like check yourself kind of thing, right? Why are you posting because you like the attention, or are you posting because you really feel like that you're helping kind of thing, right? And I mean, it makes you think, right? What am I doing this for? Mm-hmm. Right? But I genuinely think it is that. I mean, how do you put a price on those messages from people saying like, thank you so much, and you're so authentic, and you know what, man? As far as my plans for what's next here, Jim, I don't think anything's more frustrating than knowing what's happening and what's possibly coming in the next like 8 years and beyond, and not having a plan, right? And this is where I sometimes think, as far as politics and running for politics, and I've been asked to join the New Blue. I've been asked to join the PPC. I've been asked to join the Conservatives. I've been asked, because they don't have great representation up here, right? And they see that I have a good base on social media, so they want me to run, right? And I just don't know if that's my place, right? Because I'm not, like, that's one thing I love about Jordan Peterson, right? Clean your room, right? His 12 rules of life. Clean your room before you go and try to fix the world, kind of thing. And I kind of always have that in my head, right? I mean, I'm nowhere near in a position. I don't think anybody is really,
and that's why you're the perfect guy for it, man. Nobody's ready to ever have a child. You have a child because God puts it on you, and that's why you're the right guy.
I mean, I just, the thing is, I don't even know where I stand on the politics of it, right? Like, the PPC, Max said it blatantly. He knew he wasn't going to win, right?
Yeah.
If he can even, this is what he told Hannah and I. He said, if he can just even inject a little bit of the PPC policies into the like get a big enough vote count, right? That the Conservatives get nervous and realize they're like hemorrhaging support.
Yep.
Right. And start adopting some of their policies. That would be a win for Max.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he's laying the groundwork for the next election as well, too. So, and he's a patient man, and, I've got a lot of time for Max, and he's no dummy, and he's not a good guy. Doesn't care about the polls. He doesn't care about what policies are supported. I'm really glad to hear that he's listening on the proportional representation thing, because it's a plank that he wouldn't touch before. And I get he doesn't pick winners and losers. I got a buddy of mine that's in the ammonia business. You can burn ammonia in your car with very little, like, modifications. And the exhaust is water vapor. And the farmers are all set up. They have an infrastructure to move ammonia around. And it's just, and he's like, nah, we don't pick the winners and losers. I'm like, well, dude, at least inject it so that because my buddy's he's close. Like, he's signed a deal, and they're doing it in ships all over the world now, like big fleets and some of these
right.
Big fleets of trucks and stuff like this. It's coming, and I'm glad to hear that he's moved on that, at least proportional representation. And I joked to him, I said, the next federal leader that puts it in his platform that he's going to do away with Eastern Standard Daylight Time, like, we don't need to fall back so that the sun goes down at 4:30 in December. Just give us 5:30. Like, we don't need to change the clocks anymore. It's ridiculous.
Who cares?
I say that as a joke, but that's it's like a practical thing, man. We don't need that.
Some people live in darkness. Where is it? Like, where is it? Alaska, or where is it that they live in darkness like all day? Is that parts of Alaska, or where is that?
Yeah, well, it's both poles. For certain seasons,
they'll live in darkness for like months.
Yeah, and then they live in 24-hour
I think we can handle an hour
too.
of darkness. Yeah. But no. So I mean, Max is a good guy. I just find him very flighty on the politics, right? Mm-hmm. So it's hard for me to pick. Like, I stand with Max as far as a person goes. he's the guy I would love to see running the country, right? And if I'm being honest, what are the chances of it happening? Like I just said, I think Canada's lost as far as these liberals go and everything. Like the liberal ideology is so deep here. Why do you think, like I was talking to a very, pretty conservative. No, he was very conservative. When they were electing during the last conservative election, like when O'Toole was voted in, right? I don't know if was that the last one? Anyway, when O'Toole was voted in, and it was between him and Sloan, Derek Sloan. I liked Sloan. I'm like, go for him. I'm voting for him. My parents voted for him. Like, he was very well-spoken. He had the beliefs and the morals that we valued. And this guy that I knew was voting for O'Toole. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, this guy's an ultra-conservative. He said, because Sloan is too far right. Like, he's too conservative. And he's going to lose the country. Our country is so liberal. We need basically a liberal conservative running. And I'm like, this is where we are as a country, right? Where you need a liberal conservative basically running the country. He's just a conservative in name only, right? Yeah. I mean, he's not a conservative, right? And I don't think our country can handle a conservative anymore.
He's a senior,
right? Pierre seems to be getting some ground or whatever, and he might be the best hope to actually bring some conservative, like the conservatives back in, I guess. But I'm like, and then there's the whole vote splitting thing, which I've had endless conversations, But I think I'm still very confused with where I sit in all this, because I think politics are a giant joke anyway, and I can't, so to launch myself into it, I'm just not ready.
Dude, I mean, you'd be ready and with a 1 hour conversation, and it's simple.
You know what?
You run down the issues, you pick a side, and you realize that you're on the right side of things, and you can argue it simply because you've done it so many times before,
Problem is, though, Jim, is that I like to say what I want to say. I like to, and I mean, I would never let a party, I would never let anybody hold me back from saying what I want to say. And unfortunately, this is where I said writing is the best avenue for me to my thought with these guys, like NDP. If I'm having, I don't even think I could be in the same room with these people right now. Like I literally, I mean, not like I would like, I would walk away I would open the door and leave. And I can't even stomach them talking. Like I can't even, and I'm like, do I want to put myself in a realm where I have to debate these people?
Yes,
do I want to put myself into a no?
Yeah, you do.
And this is my argument, right? Like, and this is what I tell people. Like,
it's just a story, dude. It's a story. We can dissolve that thing in 60 minutes. I'm telling you, we disappear that thing.
I don't know. But
you're the
you
guy.
know what? You look at Joe Rogan. I'm not comparing myself to Joe Rogan. But I'm just saying, you got a guy with like millions of followers. Why doesn't he run for politics? Because he likes doing what he's doing.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah, well, you got a point there. I can't argue that point.
Right? And that's the thing. I'm like, I'm not a politician. I'm not. I couldn't have, it makes me cringe just thinking about it. Like the way Max even needs to keep a cool head, he does a pretty good job. I mean, he lets his thoughts roll on Twitter and stuff, and I respect him for it. But look where being honest got Randy Hillier. Look where it got him.
I feel the pain. We both.
You know what I'm saying? Look where it got him. He's like a conspiracy theorist, laughed at in the house. Do I want that for my life? Do I? No. Like I have no interest in that. Working with these maniacs, none. Period.
I love it.
I'll call them out. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
I couldn't thrust myself into that world. I don't have the patience for it. Like, I just don't. I'm a no nonsense person. When I listen to these debates in the House, I want to jump through my TV, grab the liberal, pin him on the ground, and be like, answer the frickin' question, you dickhead.
I love it.
And I listened to that House Speaker, useless human being. I have no idea what they're even alive for. Sitting up at the front, right? And he just listens to all this. And and listens to the nonsense answers. And it's a clown show. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, you can see me getting worked up about it. This is when Hannah's like, this is nothing. Like, when I was going the other day, Hannah's like, wow, you really hate liberals. And I'm like, it's not hate. It's just the level of stupidity makes my brain want to explode. And I can't process it, right? So I don't have the constitution for it, for politics. Trust me, I get it. As far as, like just the impact I seem to be having. I mean, number one, those 10,000 people, maybe 1,000 are from Canada, and they're from all over Canada, and the rest are from Australia and UK and from all over the place,
wow.
right?
Impressive.
Oh yeah, well no, they're all over. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I think I counted. I where's everybody from, and I went through, and like 1,000, 1,500 people commented where they were from. This was like 2 years ago when this first happened, and I counted, like, I can't remember how many places, but it was like 60 countries or something like that.
Dude,
that I'm connected to just in those 10.
I got to get on this page. I didn't even know you had a page. I'm just grateful that you're my friend.
Well, no,
you had to make
Facebook
room.
Page.
You're so full of friends.
Jim, you are on my page. That is that's my Facebook page.
Yeah, but that's 5,000. You can't have 10,000.
No, I have 5,000 friends.
Yeah.
That's my max.
Okay.
But then people can follow me.
Oh, so I got another 5,000 followers.
No, So I'm at 5,000 friends, and then I have 9,600 friends or followers.
Oh, so you got 15,000 in total then?
I don't know, because
because
5,000.
Let me tell you how it works. If they friend request you, they automatically follow you. If you can't accept them as friends, they stay as a follower. So you got 5,000 friends and 10,000 followers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I didn't know that. I always thought it was just the 5,000 are automatically following you, and then there's another maybe 4,500 on top of that. I wasn't sure.
Well, maybe you're right. You might have a point there, because some of the people that you're friends with also follow you as well. But I don't think they show up as followers for some reason. I think they're
maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe I could just check that by checking my friends list and see if they're followers too, I guess. But
how many people have you unfollowed over the last couple of years? I mean, I don't block people. Very rarely.
How many have unfollowed me?
How many have you unfollowed that you don't want to see their stuff on the top of your page anymore?
You know what? Not a lot. I mean, even some close people that I've grown up with, like from church and all that stuff, like I've definitely unfollowed all them. Mm-hmm. Not even I've unfriended them. Like at some point I was just like, I just can't. Like, we are so different. Like, you would watch, like, Jim, I mean, after seeing what we've seen the last 2 years, and those people watching, they would watch me lose my job and get dragged out of work and put into poverty on food stamps and be like, well, choices have consequences, honey. Like, that's their attitude. Like, get jabbed so you don't lose your job. And then you're like, yeah, but there's a whole lot to unpack there about why I'm not. Do you care about that? Or are you just worried that I'm not getting jabbed and you're going to watch me lose my job and watch me lose like, these people would watch you get dragged onto a rail car and gassed. Okay. So I unfollow them. Because I just block, because there's people out there, man, that there's no level that they won't go. None to follow the system. Like, there is none. Like, they are terrified that they could be getting lied to. Terrified. Like, they follow the rules as they're laid out by their government, and that's it. Like, they've trusted them their whole life. They don't know. I did too. Right? But something clicked with me 2 years ago, and now I don't. Like, you're allowed to, like, if you have a babysitter, okay, and that babysitter babysits for you for 10 years, okay, and then one day out of the blue, that babysitter does something bad to your kids, right? Use your imagination, right? You're allowed to not trust that person anymore, okay? Like, that's just the way it works, right? You're allowed. And so many people that I know just can't not trust the public health system or the government or and you try to get it through to them that, like, listen, so many people that got jabbed, right? And they say, but I trust pharmaceuticals, right? Or I mean, I trust jobs, right? I've always gotten jobs. Like when I was younger, and I'm like, this isn't the same, right? You know that. We've talked about this 100 times. It's not the same as when you were a kid, right? It's not the same. It's a whole different ball of wax, right? But they just can't cross that threshold, right? They just can't. So they want to stay there. And because it's terrifying for them, I think. And one thing I can say though, man, is, you know, one thing that keeps me on Facebook, like definitely we're in an echo chamber, right? I'm in an echo chamber. I believe that wholeheartedly. I post, I understand that, like, if I get 1,000 likes, it's all people that I know are going to like it. It's all people, you know, there's a lot of people that I don't know down below that I'm not friends with. And, you know, and I think every day I just hope that there's one person that sees a post of mine that goes, I never thought about that before.
Amen.
Right? Like and that's the only thing that keeps me going, right? And some people go, you're not going to change the asleep anymore. And I'm like, I don't know. I hope so.
That's why I got into politics. I mean, that's exactly why I was a Green Party guy, because I wanted to build in, well, I was hopeful that by me being on stage and by debating other politicians, that because I knew I was never going to win, that I could make them consider something they didn't consider before they saw me on stage, and make them laugh at the same time. So I ran every election with the idea that I was never going to win, because I never ran for a party where I had a shot. And that was my whole underlying commitment. And it's still my underlying commitment. I say I want to drag people into my anger, but it's still my underlying commitment on social media, because I'm hoping that someone will go, shit, I learned something from that post. Like that's the best gift we can give, right?
Well, see, so it's twofold, right? So I'm glad that people resonate with what I say. I'm grateful for that, right? And number one, it's great because I know I'm not alone anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I feel for people that post, and some of the people that follow me, I mean, they'll post and they've been posting for 2 years, and they won't get any likes, or they'll get one like, or if they get one person come on, they'll be like, you're stupid, you know, and yet they keep posting. And I'm like, man, alive, like I'm blessed, right? I feel so fortunate that I can put a thought out there and that it resonates with like Amen. 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 people, 1,000 people, whatever. Like, it's encouraging for me. And right. You know what? To say that it doesn't make me feel good that a bunch of people resonate with me, I'd be lying. Of course it makes me feel good. Right. But not in the, ooh, look at me sense, but in the, holy crap, I'm grateful sense, right? That so many people resonate with the way I think.
Yeah.
Right.
It convinces you you're on the right path.
Right. And so anyway, and then the other part of that is that, you know, like I said, I mean, I'm in a unique spot where I have like a lot of friends who are jabbed. I said earlier, you know, who haven't disowned me for my views, right? Like, we're still friends. They won't engage on my, they're there. They're on, as far as I know, they haven't unfollowed me, right? They're still there. I love these people, Jim, more than I can express, right? We camp with them all summer. They're salt of the earth people, man. We just love them. Like, I love their kids. I love them. I love, like, you know, and I always, every time I post, you know, this 2 years now, I think about these guys constantly because I love them. Right. And I hope that they're reading them. And I'm kind of helping them see things, you know, another way. Right. The way that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing as you wouldn't be if we didn't 100% believe that what we thought was true.
Amen.
Right.
It's a fight against the false narrative, and you can call it evil, you can call it whatever you want, but I mean, I call it a false narrative because that's what we're being sold. But like, that's the greatest compliment, our greatest accomplishment can be to wake someone up, to red pill them, to make them see the light, you know, so that they're not asleep anymore. Help wake them up.
Well, even just a little bit, you know, and I'll tell you, the last election at the end of the summer, Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, I was laughing to myself because we're an hour and a half now.
Holy crap. But anyway, no, at the end of the summer, you know what? All these people that ended up getting jobbed and whatever, and I was really alone, right? Like very alone. Hannah, not so much. She's like solid all the time. I'm the emotional basket case all the time. She's like a bloody, I don't know. She's just a rock, right?
Wow.
Like she doesn't budge.
God
No,
bless
she
you.
is. Like she knows what she believes. She doesn't apologize for it. She doesn't feel the need to, do what I do. But I mean, she's just solid. So I mean, that support system here is just phenomenal, right? But anyway, I remember being, around my friends one time who all got it. And I mean, I can't travel. I can't do anything. I can't, go to restaurants at the time. I can't, whatever. And they're all laughing about normal everyday things in life. And I'm sitting there like around the fire and I'm pretty down, right? Because I'm like, they don't even care. Like I'm their friend, I'm whatever, but like, they don't even care, right? Because they got it. They can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, so that got me really down, but, it just doesn't matter, I mean, we just got to keep going on and I love him to death. I think there's definitely a blindness here. I don't know if it's a spiritual blindness. I don't know if it's
it definitely is.
I don't know what it is. I really don't, but I mean, I think, as long as I feel called to do what I'm doing here, I'm going to do it. And as long as I feel like I may be impacting somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, man? You know how many posts I see being connected to so many people? You know how many people go, I don't want to live anymore. Someone will just post on Facebook, I don't want to live anymore. I can't do this anymore. Right? And in a way, I get kind of like, I don't want to hear that right now. Like I just can't, but anyway, but it just goes to show you they have problems. This is what this response has done to people, right?
Yeah.
They might have already been borderline on the edge of life. You know what I mean? Like wanting to off themselves, might have lost everything. And, and how many, probably 24 over the last 2 years of people just I'm connected to who said they want to kill themselves.
Yeah,
strangers.
You got to balance. Right? You got to balance that stuff out. You know what I mean? And I've been pretty fortunate with a strong constitution and half decently good mental health. It's not perfect all the time, but
whose is, man?
It's my mother would say, Jimmy, who cares who the mayor is? You can't change anything. Go to work. That's the only thing that's going to satisfy you is by paying your bills. So stop it. And you know what? You look at social media and you go, one day, maybe I'll just wake up and you go, you know what? I don't care. You know what's important? My wife in the next room and my 3 kids and the roof over my head, and it'll all work out. I'm forgetting Max Bernier. I'm forgetting all of it because who cares? And the final analysis, I mean, you got to balance that with, your prayers of going back to the ignorance and bliss of not caring,
there's no going back. Like there is no going back, right?
But hey,
like
you never know. God could take it from you in a second.
Hey,
and you could wake up one day and go, you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm done. I'm over.
If I had the option for one of those little Men in Black, memory wipe things, I'd be all over that. But no, I would. But I mean, once you're red pilled, and there's no going back. But but as long as I can help, I guess that's what I think too, right? I mean, do I give a little bit of hope to those people, right? Who are ready to like off them? And this is where I said, like, I feel like I have an obligation. And I mean, I don't say it to be arrogant or, you know what I mean? I think a lot of these people just hanging on need a friend, right? And I'm like, if I could be that to people, anyway, this is just psychotic, right? It's all psychotic. And you know what, Jim, I don't even think I care anymore, like we're selfish. We're the selfish ones, right? I would give anybody everything I have if it would save them. You know, like I don't. This is what people get. They think we're the most selfish people in the world for our stance, right? And I think that all my friends see that's not true. They know I would give, you know, like I'd give the shirt off my back to anybody, to them, to, you know, so they hear what Trudeau's saying. We're misogynists and we're racists and we're white supremacists and whatever. How can any normal person listen to this idiot and not just melt down and call to have him arrested? You know what I mean? Like, and this guy's the prime minister of our country, you know? So at some level, I think, like, I do feel obligated, not just for the people that I'm friends with on there, but like just for my country, for my kids, for my, like, if Trudeau says something stupid, like, I feel like there's not enough people up here in my area and stuff that are listening to what this lunatic is saying. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I mean, I'll jot it down and hopefully like some people, you know, some people hear it and it helps in some way. I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm a lone wolf up here, like out of like hundreds of thousands of people in the north and Sudbury and Timmins and North Bay and whatever. I mean, I'm friends with a lot of people from there, but I don't know any other like kind of social who I'd like to connect with them if there are, so we can kind of join forces, I guess. But anyway, but as far as the politics goes, I just want to, like, I mean, maybe one day, you know, but I want to just kind of keep doing what I do, like right now, because I find I have like a decent balance without losing my, like, absolutely losing my mind, where like I can work, I can look after my family, I can try to inform people as best I can and, you know, give people a laugh once in a while and, you know, whatever. But as far as the politics go, man, I feel like it would ruin what I got going, because I think it would make me angry. I think it would make me like, you know what I mean? I think I'm more help to people. You become a villain instantly, right? And I think for the people that I'm friends with, that are kind of on the fence, I give them a safe spot to kind of like, you know, read my stuff and kind of be able to, oh, that's what I was going to say about last summer. I found out that like over 50% of my friends who I would have never thought were voting for PPC. They all admitted it to me because they could tell I was like, you know, I was just having a crappy weekend. And they all admitted to me that they were voting PPC. We need some balance back. And they're all jabbed. They're all whatever. And it, like, I called my wife and I think I like burst out in tears. I just thought they were all liberals because we don't talk politics at all. I know they're still friends with me. I know they see what I post and we're still able to have a good rapport and stuff. But like when they told me they were voting PPC, so it was so stupid I'd get emotional over it. Wow. But that was very meaningful because I love these people, right? Yeah. And what that tells me, I don't know if I had an impact on them. Maybe I did. We didn't go that far. They didn't say like we're doing it because, you know, like.
Well, I think Max benefited from a certain portion of the population, the electorate, I'll call them, that was just pissed off and they just didn't want the status quo anymore. And he was the best.
I think so too.
Well,
like one guy said it perfectly out there. He said, we need some balance back. He's like, usually I would vote liberal, but the liberal NDP bloc, like they've gone all left, like far left. And now even the conservatives are where the liberals kind of should be. Right? Like, you know, Bill Maher and these guys, right? Like they're like kind of your true libertarians. They're even kind of siding with the conservatives now because the left is gone. Like they're just out in left field.
And God bless guys like Bill Maher, because he's one of the few guys that is in show business and in Hollywood where, you know, the corruption is so deep and Disney and all this kind of stuff, where he will call the left out and go, you guys are insane. Like he's still a liberal. But I love when the liberals come on board and go, you guys have gone mad. And
I still hate like 90% of or 80% of what he says, but I give him full credit. I love, like, I mean, I love his delivery.
Mm-hmm.
I love his, like, when he's talking. I mean, he's a raging atheist and stuff too. So like, we just don't see, and he's very disrespectful.
And he's still he's one of the last guys that's actually still got like his comedy chops. Like, he's actually funny still. Like, you know, like Jimmy Fallon used to be funny. He's not funny.
Oh, they're all
anymore.
gone.
They're
all the Holly
useless.
weird people are gone.
You got Louis C.K. and Ricky Gervais. I mean, these are the last.
Oh, Ricky Gervais still good.
Oh,
Ricky
yeah.
Gervais
yeah.
still
and,
good.
you know, Rogan's still good, and Bert Kreischer's still good. And these are the guys that have the courage to say it because it's funny, man. We forgot how to laugh at ourselves. And everybody gets so
see, and what sensitive. I love is that they're not restrained by politics. Like I was saying earlier, like, why doesn't Bill Maher run for politics? Why doesn't Ben Shapiro run for politics, or Joe Rogan, or wherever? And I'm like, because they're not restrained by this establishment, whatever. And I don't want that either. I like just being able to say what I say. I can come and go as I please.
Good point.
I could go a week without posting if I want. I can, you know what I mean? Do a flurry in a few days if I want.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of person I am. I don't like being locked down. That's why I'm in sales. You're probably the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just don't like being locked into anything. I don't like, because my mind changes. Like, things change so fast. Like, and just things have been moving so fast in the last couple of years, right? I mean, like, holy smokes. I just, you know, maybe I just feel handcuffed if I join something. Maybe there's more to it than just wanting to keep doing exactly what I'm doing, you know, but there's just a lot involved in it, right? And so maybe one day, I'm never going to say never, but I don't know. We'll see where the
timing is everything.
We'll see where this
timing is everything, my brother.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I should get running here too. So
thank God, I am soaking wet over here. I gotta have a drink. It's gonna take you.
You not have an air conditioner or something?
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta run that thing all day, and man, money's tight. Okay, but by the time Trudeau makes it okay for you and your family to fly, I'll have a villa to put the family up in. So, you know. I want to get with you. I want to be one of those guys that sits around the campfire and bust your balls and is able to love your wife from a distance. She sounds like a rock, and we will do this again. I want to have part 2, and I really appreciate you, you know, and, you know, I left my ego at the door when you said, hey, I'm not feeling it. I'm not putting myself out there right now like that. And I'm like, fuck, dude, do I know the feeling? Like, you know, and it takes a man to go, hey, I'm taking care of me right now. I'm talking about the first time I approached you and said, hey, let's do a show. You know, you're just.
Yeah, the first time you asked me to come on, I just wasn't in a, I mean, and to be honest with you, man, I was angry. That was one of those times where I'm like, I don't want to talk because I'm just angry, right? Like, I'm not coming at this from like a very neutral kind of level playing field kind of. My head was, you know, it was like probably anger, a bit of depression, bit of, you know, and I'm but like, that was a time when I just wanted to quit it all.
And I could tell you, like, the amount of times that I got done with high profile guests. I don't make any money at this. I love it. But how many times I come away from a conversation and go, well, that was great. Now, what am I doing this for? And, you know, you might think that we talked around in circles and jumped all over the place and we really didn't hit anything. But these are the type of conversations that light people up. These are the type of conversations that people go, I know Jon Lively now. I know where his heart's at. I know he loves God. I know his family's number one to him. And just hearing that I'm not alone makes a difference for me. So I love you, brother. I appreciate the time. And like I said, you might not think it made a difference. And I put myself in that position as well because I'm hard on myself. You know, I've never had an intro like that before. I can't wait. I'm going to post that tonight. That's going to
that was hilarious.
That was one of the best intros ever.
It just wouldn't stop. It just kept
never had it
going and echoing, and I'm like, it was pretty funny.
It was great. Anyway,
I appreciate it.
All right, brother. I'm going to do a hard cut and get out of here and get myself a rum and coke and a shower. Look at this.
Yeah. Oh, like, that's
dude.
I'm gonna have a beer. Yeah, you're gross. You know. Okay, Jim.
All right, brother.
Thanks
right.
a lot, brother.
Talk again soon.
Take care.
All right, ciao.
Yeah.